I call to order this regular meeting of the Township Committee of the Township of Morris this Wednesday, October 15th, 2025. The time is now 7:01 p.m. This meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, and adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required by law. Specifically, notice of this meeting was emailed to the Daily Record and the Morris Newsbee on January 3rd, 2025, and posted on the Township of Morris website. The agenda and resolutions for the meeting are available on morristwp.com under Agenda Center. Certain portions of this meeting may be closed to the public for the purpose of personnel and/or other matters as outlined in the Sunshine Law. Notice to the members of the governing body and township staff, any use of electronic devices during this meeting shall be used solely for the purpose of township business, and any communications are open to the Public Records Act. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Griselle.
Here.
Mr. Dorfey.
Here.
Mr. Ravitz.
Here.
Mr. Janata.
Here.
Mayor Gariglia.
Here. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from July 16th, 2025 for the closed and regular session, and August 20th, 2025 for the closed and regular session by one motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have one proclamation on our agenda this evening for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so I will read the proclamation and then have a couple committee members that have a few remarks they'd like to make. Breast Cancer Awareness Month, October 2025. Whereas Breast Cancer Awareness Month, observed each October, raises awareness about the importance of breast cancer screening and prevention. 1 in 8 women in the United States will face breast cancer in her lifetime, making it the most common cancer among women after skin cancer. And whereas, according to the American Cancer Society, in 2025, more than 310,000 women and nearly 3,000 men in the United States are expected to be diagnosed with breast cancer. And whereas breast cancer is expected to claim the lives of about 42,170 women and 510 men in the United States in 2025. And whereas the breast cancer death rate has dropped about 44% since 1989, thanks to detection, increased awareness, and better treatments. And whereas when breast cancer is found early and is still localized, the 5-year survival rate is 99%. And whereas the American Cancer Society recommends women talk with their healthcare providers about when to begin screenings. Women ages 40 to 44 may choose to start annual mammograms. Women ages 45 to 54 should get yearly mammograms, and women 55 and older may continue annually or switch to every 2 years. And whereas Breast Cancer Awareness Month reminds us to take preventative action, schedule mammograms, support loved ones in doing the same, and honor survivors, advocates, and those we have lost to breast cancer. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Township Committee of the Township of Morris recognizes October 2025 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month and encourages all residents to raise awareness, support early detection and treatment, and continue the fight against breast cancer. Committeeman Janata, do you have remarks you wanted to make?
Yeah. Well, cancer never really ran in my family until just recently, because several years ago, my sister-in-law, my wife's sister, had breast cancer. But she's a survivor, but it's still, she was weakened by it, and which means that my family had then had that gene, and I always encouraged my wife and also my daughter to be aware of that, and they've, so far as I know, they keep that in mind, and I would encourage anybody else to do that. And even though people might not think that cancer might not run in the family. Eventually it does. And that's always something that we have to be wary of. So thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Committeeman Ravitz?
Just real quick, my ex-wife had breast cancer. She's still a survivor 21 years later. So early detection, as is in the proclamation, is supremely important. But let's not leave out the self-examinations that women can do that really will be your first indicator rather than a mammogram. So I would encourage women to, to continue to do self-examinations because that's your first line of offense. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, we will open our first public commentary. There is currently one member from the public on Zoom and 5 members in person at this time. We will first take comments from in-person attendees and then switch over to Zoom. Please use the raise hand feature in Zoom if you would like to speak. Please state your name and if you are a resident or non-resident for the record before speaking. Please note that your comments are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. If you have questions you would like answered, your remaining time to speak will be yielded back for this at the podium there, sir.
I don't think that's
Will be
on.
yielded back for this purpose. Is there a motion to open the public comment?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Ken Dolsky. I'm a resident of Parsippany, and I'm also a member of the Empower New Jersey Board. Empower New Jersey is supporting a bill in the state legislature called the Climate Superfund Act that will provide funding to help offset the financial burdens of climate change on all New Jersey towns, residents, and businesses by making the largest fossil fuel corporations pay for the damages caused by climate change in New Jersey. The bill would not affect local providers of gas or oil. We are asking municipal councils to support the act by simply passing a resolution. I know that Mr. Janata has provided you with info on this act, but you seem to be unwilling to support it. We're here to ask you to reconsider. So far, we have 56 municipal resolutions and 2 county resolutions. This bill is modeled after similar legislation passed in New York and Vermont. The bill applies the logic of the original Superfund Act to the climate crisis. It is reasonable to estimate that New Jersey could receive $50 billion in revenue over 25 years from this act. If it's successful, the state will collect this money from the major climate polluters and create grants for municipalities to address the costs of projects for remediation from and adaptation to climate change. It is not the act's purpose to penalize fossil fuel companies. It is simply applying the same principles as the tobacco settlement, opioid settlement, and other EPA Superfund settlements by which companies whose products pollute and cause disease, property destruction, and death should be made to pay for these harms, not the individuals, families, and businesses who suffer because of these companies' actions. No products, no matter how beneficial, should be exempt from product liability laws. The bill is moving far too slowly in the legislature, unfortunately. If we don't pass the act this year in lame duck, it may never happen. Senator McKeon, the prime sponsor, stated that passage of this bill is not assured, that municipal resolutions would be very helpful. The act does not violate the Constitution or any other laws. Participation in this effort will not involve any financial or legal risk to Morris Township, but we must press hard now. Costs that can be covered include infrastructure resiliency, such as energy efficiency and weatherization upgrades to schools and municipal buildings, flood protection, home buyouts, remediation of toxic algae blooms, upgrades to stormwater drainage systems, storm recovery, and more. Any costs related to climate would be candidates for a grant. This law will reduce the financial burdens of these events on town residents, and in some cases may provide the only means to address these costs without tax increases or bonding. The global costs of climate change remediation and adaptation are increasing every year. A New York State senator stated, preparing from and preparing for extreme weather caused by climate change will cost over $65,000 per household by 2050. Also, as you know, the federal administration is planning to deeply cut or eliminate FEMA, which will force states to increase their costs to handle disasters. From 2011 to 2024, New Jersey had the 5th highest per capita spending on climate disasters in the nation. Every county has experienced at least 5 disasters. One of the world's leading climate attribution scientists stated over the 30-year period 1991 to 2022, New Jersey's economy had lost over $108 billion from extreme heat alone. If we don't pass this act, we will all be paying for these costs. In September 2025, this last month, the DEP in New Jersey published a report, Economic Risks of Climate Change in New Jersey. It stated, climate change presents mounting challenges for local governments in New Jersey, threatening their fiscal stability, access to credit, and ability to maintain essential public services. Municipal governments face compounding financial pressures. These impacts could weaken local governments' capacity and reduce long-term community resilience. It focused on three factors: lost revenue, bond market pressures, and reduced government services. One question we often hear is whether forcing fossil fuel companies to pay for their harms will cause them to increase the price of their products in New Jersey. The answer is no. The price of oil is set by the global market based on global supply and demand. Gasoline and oil are price-sensitive commodities, and not all gasoline producers will have these additional costs. The retail gasoline market in New Jersey is extremely competitive, with prices changing daily, if not hourly, severely limiting how much of a cost increase gas station owners can absorb from suppliers. Raising prices will simply cause retail customers to use other providers. Gas station owners are also independent retailers who have very thin margins and can switch providers if they start to lose sales due to higher costs. Our elected officials were voted into office to protect us, the residents and businesses, not global fossil fuel companies who make billions of dollars in profits every year.
Mr. Dalkey, you've reached your 5-minute limit.
I'll just finish up.
Somebody else can finish for you, sir.
By opposing this act, elected officials are saying that taxpayers should pay for these costs. We understand you oppose this
Sir,
bill. Could you please
You've
explain
reached your
why?
5 minutes, sir.
I'm done. Could you
Thank
please
you.
explain why you opposed the bill in the past?
So I just want to say, and I would like to, Committeeman Janata, if you would also like to give some background. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not sure we opposed it in the past. I know there were some questions from committee members. So,
Yeah, I think one question I think people might are asking is, I mean, there are no known Superfund sites in our township, but so how would this affect us if we pass a resolution?
When you say Superfund sites, there's no EPA Superfund sites.
Something like
Okay, this bill has nothing to do with the EPA Superfund cleanup sites. It's just the same principle in terms of, it's like a principle of law, a principle of practice. So this has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that you don't have a site that needs to be cleaned up. What it's saying is every town is going to have costs due to climate change. You're going to have costs for remediation. You're going to have costs for adaptation. You're going to have costs for prevention. I gave you some of the examples, like if you wanted to weatherize all the town buildings and the schools because of increased, heat, you could apply under these grants for money to do those things instead of having to ask your taxpayers to pay that money. Okay, it has nothing to do with having a Superfund site.
okay.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
so are there any other reasons why
This
you
isn't a
wouldn't
conversation.
support
This isn't a
this?
time for conversation. I apologize. There's other speakers here. Your 5 minutes
She's
is up.
talking about the same thing.
Yeah, that's okay. It's her turn. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jennifer Nielsen. I live at 17 Egbert Avenue in Morristown, or Morris Township. And I'm also active with Empower NJ, currently through Third Act, New Jersey. In June, I lost my job in global health as a result of the illegal shuttering of USAID. So my family and I have been trying to live within new, tighter means. At the same time, the cost of almost everything in New Jersey is going up. Electricity, housing, healthcare, especially if you no longer have an employer provided healthcare, property insurance and taxes, food, and much more. In fact, the list seems endless, and politics in Washington are only making things worse. In my opinion, one point of light in the struggle for more affordability in New Jersey is the New Jersey Climate Fund Act, which, as Ken pointed out, has the potential to recover about $50 billion from massively profitable fossil fuel companies. And as you also mentioned, without adding to the cost of fuel. Companies, as we all know, were aware decades ago of the planetary damage their products would create. And it's amazing to me that any legislator would refuse to support a law to make these mega companies pay for a small fraction of the cost of this damage. The inevitable consequence will be to push the costs onto residents of our state. Experts have added up what recent storms have already cost, and the amount is a staggering $100 billion plus. New Jersey residents face the fifth highest per capita climate damage bill in the nation. Ken also mentioned that costs in New York have been, or I guess you didn't include that. It has been estimated that costs in New York will rise to $65,000 per household by 2050, and things won't be that different in New Jersey. Add to that the cost of work stoppage and lost businesses resulting from heat waves, flooding, and power outages. And of course, we all hear about the deep cuts underway at the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, which will shift even more of the costs of rebuilding to New Jersey households. And it's not just rebuilding after devastating storms. We will need significant investments in mitigation projects like tree planting, pavement and rooftop modifications to reduce extreme heat in urban areas, wetlands restoration to reduce flooding, infrastructure on the coastline, and wildfire prevention. I've read estimates that there are already $86 billion in proposed projects, with far more expected to come. It's also important to note that this bill has strong popular support. A survey conducted of registered voters in New Jersey this past spring by American Strategies for the National Wildlife Federation found an overwhelming 68% support the bill. This, despite efforts by lobbyists to misinform the public and members of the legislature, so egregious that Senator Bob Smith called them out, saying, "I'm very disappointed in our business community. Your membership is going to get destroyed like other homeowners." So I would respectfully observe that it should be an absolute no-brainer for our lawmakers and our township committee to ensure that industries who have profited wildly from a commodity that has caused and will continue to cause incalculable damage to life on Earth assume the responsibility for a modest proportion of the costs, rather than hardworking, financially squeezed New Jersey taxpayers. I would therefore ask you to vote as soon as possible to pass the municipal resolution that supports passage of the legislation by the New Jersey legislature. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you for your comments. Yep, if it's your turn.
My name is Dean Nielsen. I'm very glad to be in this house for the first time. I'm a resident of Morris Township. I live in Edward Avenue with my wife, who it seems like I'm always following. I am here to just elaborate on a couple of points, and in fact, I'm going to reduce mine because some of them have already been covered. I wanted to go back to two decades ago when several states through the courts fought the tobacco industry. And there were two main points. One was that they were obscuring the facts about the bad health costs, health results from smoking. And they were also polluting the environment. And they lost their cases. And in this case, it was several cases throughout the country, and they ended up paying billions of dollars in essentially damage and being asked to curtail their advertisements and their marketing. We all know that. But the fact is that many fewer of us smoke now. That was a very important precedent for what we're talking about here. It's essentially an issue of being accountable. The fossil fuel industry is accountable, or is producing a huge amount of pollution which affects our environment. And they have never come clean about that, so to speak. They, just like the tobacco industry, have been essentially obscuring the data, and we all know that. It's about time that the fossil fuel industry would, in fact, own up to the real costs of producing this much oil. The real costs include the impact negative on the environment. I would like you to join us in a resolution that would help us deal with that true costs of producing gas and oil and hold the and this essentially this oil industry. So that's the word. Hold it accountable. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to speak on this issue first before anyone else goes up? Because I just want to say, and again, I'll take comments from any of the other committee members, but we certainly thank you for coming in, and we'll look at a municipal resolution. I think if the committee, hearing some of the information you've brought tonight, we certainly would consider this.
Mayor?
Yes.
I to our first speaker, this governing body does not oppose what you're asking for. As a matter of fact, it seems to be a worthy cause. I think the problem was in the communication, and I don't think we properly understood what you were asking and what this entails. So I think that we can go back as a governing body and to discuss this, and maybe we can do something before the end of the year if we are in agreement.
Is there anyone else from the public here who'd like to go to the podium? Seeing no hands raised, is there a motion to close public comment?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. At this time, we have a discussion on the best practices inventory questionnaire as submitted to the Division of Local Government Services that will be presented by our business administrator, Tim Quinn.
Thank you, Mayor. For approximately the last 10 years or so, the state has required each municipality to complete a best practices inventory. And it's also then tied into any state aid that you are entitled to from the state. And depending on your scores, if you're very low, you could have some of your state aid withheld. We have always been very good on these. And again, I'm pleased to report that, again, we did very well on the inventory and compliance for 2025. But basically, the 2025 inventory will assess each municipality's compliance with various laws and evaluates the implementation of fiscal and operational best practices. Inventory answers provide taxpayers with additional means of evaluating the municipality's performance. The best practices inventory features new and repeat questions from previous years. This year's inventory was approximately 70 questions that dealt with budget, capital projects, emergency services, environment, ethics, financial administration, insurance, lead remediation, opportunity zones, personnel, procurement, redevelopment, shared services, technology, transparency, and utilities. Some of the questions are scored. Some of the questions are an unscored survey. The core competency is approximately 37 questions, and the best practices 13 questions, and 20 of the questions are the unscored survey of different avenues that the state wishes to explore. Each municipality must receive a minimum score of 32. The maximum that a municipality can receive is 43.5 points. We have completed everything in this inventory, which addresses the statutory and regulatory compliance obligations and other areas that were critical to sound municipal finance and operations. 2025 inventory also included a best practices category, which involved fiscal and operational practices that are significant to the benefit of many municipalities, but are not foundational in nature or uniformly applicable to all municipalities. I am pleased to report that with the best practices, the municipality scored a 42 out of a possible 43.5.
Wow.
Well above the minimum score and consistent where we have been year after year with best practices as presented to us from the DCA in the state of New Jersey.
Thank you. Great job. And want to thank you and our CFO, Sean Ferguson, for doing such a good job on this and everybody who's involved.
The questions and everything else is public information, so we have it if anybody would like to see what the questions are and our responses to those questions.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. This evening, we have two ordinances scheduled for public hearing and adoption. Madam Clerk, please read the title of Ordinance 24-25 into the record after which we will open for the public hearing.
Ordinance 24-25, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Morris, authorizing the mayor and the township clerk to execute that certain agreement with the county of Morris to accept the transfer of a certain property identified on the township tax map as Block 1901, a portion of Lots 1 and 1.01, Block 1901, to be consolidated into new Lot 6 in Block 1901, consisting of approximately 3.5366 acres. Note, ordinance to accept transfer of county-owned property for affordable housing.
We will take comments from in-person attendees first and then switch over to Zoom. Please virtually raise your hand in Zoom if you have a question. May I have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance number 24-25?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any members of the public wishing to speak? Seeing no hands raised, is there a motion to close public comment?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance number 24-25?
So moved.
Any discussion or questions? Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Durfee?
Yes.
Mr. Griselle?
Yes.
Mr. Janata?
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz?
Yes.
Mayor Gurglia?
Yes. I, Donna J. Gariglia, Mayor, declare ordinance number 24-25 approved and adopted and direct the Township Clerk to publish proper notice thereof in the official newspaper. Madam Clerk, please read title of ordinance 25-25 into the record, after which we will open the public hearing.
Ordinance 25-25, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Morris, repealing ordinance 22-25 and reauthorizing the sale of that certain property known as Block 8602, Lot 10, in Township of Morris, County of Morris, State of New Jersey. Note, reauthorizing sale of 4 Old Turnpike Road for supportive housing.
Again, we'll take comments from people here in person first and then on Zoom. Please raise your hand on Zoom if you would like to speak. May I have a motion to open public comment on ordinance 25-25?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Seeing no members from the public and no hands raised on Zoom, may I have a motion to close the public comment on ordinance number 25-25?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance number 25-25?
Second.
Is there any discussion or questions? Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Griselle?
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz?
Yes.
Mr. Durfee?
Yes.
Mr. Janata?
Yes.
Mayor Gurglia?
Yes. I, Donna J. Gariglia, declare ordinance number 25-25 approved and adopted and direct the Township Clerk to publish proper notice thereof in the official newspaper. We have one ordinance for introduction on tonight's agenda. Madam Clerk, please read the title of ordinance 26-25 into the record.
Ordinance 26-25, amending Chapter 410, Sewers and Sewers Disposal of the Code of the Township of Morris. Note, sewer service fee and connection fee for 2026 through 2030.
May I have a motion to introduce ordinance number 26-25?
So moved.
Second.
At this time, could I ask Mr. Quinn, could you give us some background on the situation with the sewer fees?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Mayor. The township owns and operates a sanitary sewage system that serves local sewer users, residential and commercial. We also serve users in Morris Plains, Randolph, Harding, and Madison through service agreements with each of those municipalities. Sewer user rates have not increased since 2008. Over the 17-year period, while virtually all costs of operating and maintaining the system have increased, the residential user charge of $5.65 per unit and the commercial user charge of $6.75 per 1,000 gallons of water consumption have remained unchanged. Without a rate increase or without relying on continued elevated levels of investment income, connection fees, or surplus applied as revenues, expenditures are effectively capped at $9.3 million. Over the past years, the variable sewer utility expenditures have increased by 2.8% annually, but substantially higher rates. For example, we have seen in fringe benefits for our employees at twice the average of 5.6% annually, electric energy at 8.1%, sludge disposal at 12.6%, and our service contract payments at 5.5%, and our insurance premiums at approximately 15.8%. Over the same time, the revenues from the sewer service charges were essentially flat at that approximately $9.3 million. So we are proposing that for the stability of the sewer utility and looking at that over the next 5-year period, recommending an increase of $85 for 2026 for the residential users, and then a 3% increase for the following 4 years. We are also recommending the same percentage increases for the commercial rates. However, because of inequity, to make sure that the residential and the commercials are paying their quote-unquote fair share, the commercial rates would go up significantly more in 2027, 2028, 2029, and 2030. The rate increase is essential to fund the operations through 2030, and it is recommended that we implement this so that we have enough funds to move forward with all of the capital projects that are going to be taking place. We have to do a major upgrade to our Butterworth sewer plant, which is called the Headworks project. That project is estimated to be approximately $8 million for that. The last time that the sewer plants had this major upgrade was back in 1990. And to continue the efficient use of the sewer plants, we need to move forward on these necessary capital projects. We're recommending this additional rate that be increased for 2026. Again, with outline that the commercial rate will also go up more significantly in the following years of 27, 28, 29, and 30. So before you is the resolution for the increases. At the present time, residents are paying $565. It would go to $650 in 26, go up $20 in 2027, up $20 in 2028, up $20 in 2029, and up $20 in 2030. Even at the top rate in 2030 is still below most municipalities that are contiguous to the township as to what their fees are for sewer. So even though we're projecting out 5 years, we're still below most municipalities as to what the rate is. On the commercial side, it's even significantly more. It'll go from $675 to $775 to $855, $9.40, $9.90, and then topping out at $10.40. So significantly more increase on the commercial side than the residential side, but making sure that it's equal. So there's fair share between residents and commercial properties. So the other section of this is also to increase our connection fees for this. This would apply to mostly to new construction, as the township is approximately 96 to 97% sewer already as it comes in. The sewer fee was calculated in 2014 at $9,533. It is recommending that that be increased to $10,800 for that. And the primary purpose of the connection fees is to support the sewer plants moving forward for all of the improvements that will be needed to take place for the efficiency of those, and that they're also paying their fair share compared to the long-time users that have been using it for a number of years and they're not being hit with all of the fees. So we have a recommendation for both the increase on the annual sewer fee, but then also for the connection fee for any properties that need to join into the system for that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Any discussion? Deputy Mayor Grayzel?
One question. This comes under Chapter 410. Is this a complete replacement of the chapter or just portions thereof?
So I think it's replacing the entire chapter, but the entire chapter isn't being changed. Only portions of it are being changed, like the rates and a few other,
And the
connection fees.
So the rest of the document in front of us is what was previously in the
Yes.
chapter?
Yes.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Any other discussion or questions?
There was some cleanup language.
Yeah,
but
I was
nothing-
wondering. Yeah, I have a. Yeah, there was a equivalent dwelling unit definition that was added. And
But the point is, the other changes were just de minimis, correct?
yeah, the only substantial changes was to the fees.
To the
Yeah.
fees.
Okay,
Yeah,
very
no
good.
material change, I should say.
Thank you.
All right. Seeing no other discussion, Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Janata,
Yes.
Mr. Griselle,
Yes.
Mr. Dorfy.
No.
Mayor Griglia.
Yes. The public hearing and final consideration and adoption of ordinance number 26-25 will be held at the next regular Township Committee meeting on Wednesday, November 12th, 2025 at 7 p.m. in the municipal building here at 50 Woodland Avenue. We have 16 resolutions on tonight's agenda. May I have a motion to approve resolutions number R221-25 through R236-25 in one motion?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Dorfy,
Yes.
Mr. Janata,
Yes.
Mr. Griselle,
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz.
Yes.
Mayor Griglia.
Yes. We have two items on the consent calendar this evening. May I have a motion to approve both items on the consent calendar by one motion?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
The following reports are on record with the Township Clerk and the Township Administrator. August 2025, Fire, Police, and Joint Court. September 2025, Tax Collector and Library. May I have a motion to approve the monthly reports?
So moved.
Boy, you guys are slow on the
I
draw
know.
tonight. What's the deal?
Second.
All in
Nobody wants to
favor?
hop the table.
Claims for payment and the list of bills and vouchers. The total amount of bills and vouchers for this meeting is $27,639,510.47. We are also the tax collector for the school district, the library, and the county. May I have a motion to approve the list of bills and vouchers?
So moved.
Here we
Second.
go.
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Janata,
Yes.
Mr. Griselle,
Yes.
Mr. Dorfy.
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz.
Yes.
Mayor Griglia.
Yes. We will now hear standing committee reports and general commentary from each member of the Township Committee, and we'll start with Committeeman Janata.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I wanted to talk about the Transportation Advisory Committee. They finished up their Morris Township in Motion events with the three walks. The one was the Senior Citizens Walk at the Future Community Center on Jean Street. And another was September 20th at Jockey Hollow Top Saunders Field. And then October 4th was a Traction Line Walk. They had an option to either bike or walk, but walking was chosen. And then at the Morristown Fall Festival on September 28th, the TAC had shared a tent with the Environmental Commission for the second year. They gave away signs and bike helmets for children and adults. I actually got one. They emphasized safety in using bikes and scooters, which is now becoming a universal concern for many. And local ordinances seem to be needed, but state needs to pass laws in regulating these newfound vehicles. And in the Environmental Commission, they shared that tent with Morristown at the Morristown Fall Festival with TAC. The theme was native plants, and there was also a children's activity for seed planting. And the EC has done this for several years, and it was a well-manned tent as they had. And in October 28th, in this same forum, we're going to have a sustainable landscaping event at 7 p.m. And the event will be here. I think it will be recorded or Zoom. And we'll include people from other towns, including Madison and Morristown, who will speak on the days on sustainable landscaping. Also, several holidays during the past month have completed, and there's more to come. Jews all over the world have celebrated the high holy days, Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. Then just last week was the holy day of Sukkot. Hindus celebrated a few holidays themselves. Mahashivaratri, the night of Shiva, the Hindu god, was on September 26th, where chants were performed in temples into the morning. And Durga Puja was celebrated on September 28th for the Hindu goddess Durga. And then in October 2nd, which also happened to be Mahatma Gandhi's birthday, was Dashera, which commemorates the triumph of good over evil, where Lord Rama killed the demon king Ravana. And next week is the Hindu New Year of Diwali, where is a celebration of lights with lamps lit throughout the house. And beware of firecrackers into the night. And just as a warning, I'm not sure we're going to have in my house, but if you hear fireworks, you'll know why. That's again October 20th. And then Halloween is October 31st, and the Mexican holiday Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, is on November 1st. So what better way to speak about either of these holidays than to talk about cemeteries? At the beginning, people buried their dead in churchyards and church graveyards. The Presbyterian Church and St. Peter's Episcopal Church have historical burial places. When these church graveyards were filled to capacity, there was a need for more space. So large open spaces were designated for cemeteries and were used as public parks for many. Some famous ones are the Arlington Cemetery near Washington, D.C. for military personnel and their spouses. And this is America's most hallowed ground, which was formerly Robert E. Lee's slave plantation. And there are several boot hills. The most famous one is at Tombstone, where among others was the Clanton gang, who were the victims from the OK Corral shooting. New York has two famous ones, Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn and Woodlawn Cemetery in the Bronx. And in New Jersey, Princeton Cemetery has many famous names, including one president, Grover Cleveland, and one vice president, Aaron Burr. Not to be outdone, Morristown and Morris Township share Evergreen Cemetery, located on Martin Luther King Boulevard. It began in 1855 on property that was donated by George Cobb, who was a former congressman and later mayor of Morristown. In fact, he is one of the people who are buried there. Among the other well-known locals was a Supreme Court Justice, Mahlon Pitney, and several other congressmen and a U.S. senator, mayors, bankers, and industrialists, one of whom lived on Cadena Road and was an executive at AT&T, as well as a famed tennis player who came second place at Wimbledon and who also survived the sinking of the Titanic, along with his future wife. His name was Carl Baer. And there is one section for patients from Greystone Hospital who are only identified by their numbers. Another section is reserved for U.S. military personnel, including those who are killed in action. We commemorate them on Memorial Day and Veterans Day services that are held there. Evergreen Cemetery deserves more research than the limited amount that I have just shared, and I hope someday somebody would actually do that. And finally, let us be thankful for the release of the living Israeli hostages who were captured from 2 years ago. May they and their loved ones be healed from their afflictions brought on by their captors. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Committeeman Jorfi.
Thank you, Mayor. I was unable to be here at last month's meeting. I was on a family vacation, but I wanted to comment that I'm extremely excited about the purchase of our senior citizens bus. And I know the senior club is very excited about that. We are able to purchase this van for our seniors thanks to a DOT grant from the state that is refunding us money for roadwork projects. So we're using those funds to buy our first bus, which we announced last year. So thank you, Tim, and to our staff for picking out the vehicle that will come in hopefully in the next 3 months or so. We're very excited about it. This is the first time we're going to have the service, and I can't be more excited for it. I'm looking forward to seeing how we design the outside of it and seeing what the routes we develop are going to be. But I did want to say that. This month, earlier, I visited Common Station with Mr. Quinn and New Jersey Transit officials to go over security upgrades. In our budget this year, we have $100,000 to upgrade the security cameras and put in emergency call boxes at Common Station. We met with New Jersey Transit Police and folks from the buildings and grounds of New Jersey Transit to make sure we're thinking about the right things. I know we'll be going out to bid for those improvements at some point soon, but these are necessary improvements. We have put in an emergency call box, and we already have security cameras there, but this will just expand the scope there, which is a good thing, especially considering not only just commuters going there early in the morning or late at night, but we also have folks going to St. E's, the university, and the high school. So those are much needed improvements. I'm looking forward to seeing those completed soon. Also, for being on the Shared Services Committee, we have a site visit planned in early November to the Paramus DPW to see their shared service maintenance program for their fire departments up in Bergen County. Earlier this year, we had a phone call with various fire departments nearby to see what their needs were for fire maintenance. Fire apparatus now are much more difficult to work on than they used to be, and you need specialized mechanics with specialized certifications to work on them, and they're very expensive. And a lot of towns wind up shipping their trucks like us out to Bergen County or down to Middlesex County just to get them worked on, and it's very expensive. So we're looking into sharing that service with our local towns, potentially housing it here in Morris Township and getting grant money to then all just share 1 or 2 mechanics. So we have better access. We don't have to wait months to get some certain things worked on and get those jobs into completion. Lastly, I just want to note, next month is Veterans Day. November 11th, we have services here at 10 a.m., but that means our veterans banners will be going back up on Woodland Avenue at the beginning of November. We had our application period opened up in August, and it closed recently. And I'm looking forward to seeing some new names and new photos of veterans going up there this year. So with that, I will turn it back to you, Mayor.
Thank you. Committeeman Ravitz.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be brief tonight. I really don't have much in the way of reports other than to say that our annual trunk or treat is scheduled for October 25th at Ginty Field from 4 to 6 p.m. If you'd like to be able to give out candy to the little tykes, then you do need to register, and you can do that through the Parks and Recreation website. I don't know if there's an end date to registration, but it's always a very popular event and getting bigger every year. What happens in Washington doesn't stay in Washington. You know, the decisions that are made on the national stage about healthcare, taxes, infrastructure, environment, they all ripple down into the municipalities. And when Congress, or in my opinion, a lawless president cuts funding, it is we, the people, that have to make up the shortfall. And when they undermine democracy, it's our local elections and community voices that actually lose the power. And that's why local leadership matters. We can't control every decision made in DC, but we can make sure our communities are resilient, inclusive, and forward-looking. We can invest in our people, protect our environment, and stand up for fairness and accountability right here at home. Because in the end, every national issue becomes a local one. Every policy, every law, every act of leadership or lack of it touches our streets, our schools, and our families. So let's stay informed, stay engaged, and remember, what happens out there only matters if we make it matter here. And lastly, as you go about your day, do remember to be kind to yourselves and kind to others, because kindness has a ripple effect and it really matters. Mayor?
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Grazel.
Thank you, Mayor. I would first like to acknowledge one of the resolutions we have that appoints Ron Auth as our construction code official. Like to congratulate Ron on this promotion, and I'd like to thank Albert Mastrobatista for all his years of service as the code official for Morris Township. Tim, he was here for how many years?
32, sir.
32 years of service to the municipality. So thank you, Albert, for all those years, and best to you in your retirement. I don't have any other committee reports, but I do have one general comment, and that is that almost 2 years ago, to today, on October 18th, 2023, this governing body voted and passed a proclamation titled "In Support of the State of Israel Against Hamas." The proclamation opened up with its first paragraph stating, "Whereas the State of Israel is a longstanding friend and ally of the United States of America, and the people of Israel share a deep commitment to democracy, peace, and security." And the proclamation then went on to state various acts of aggression committed by Hamas, including the firing of rockets, the use of human shields, and the taking of hostages, including numerous American citizens and other foreign nationals. The proclamation closed with the following statement: "We stand in solidarity with the people of Israel and express our hope for a future where peace, security, and prosperity prevail for Israelis and Palestinians." This proclamation is hereby issued to show our support for the State of Israel and against Hamas, and to reaffirm our commitment to peace and security in the region. I'd also like to point out that as of today, 2 Americans are still among the deceased hostages held by Hamas, as the Palestinian terrorist group has failed to meet the terms of the U.S. brokered peace plan. Those 2 American citizens are 19-year-old Itai Chen, who I've mentioned up here before, from New York, and Omar Nutra, age 21, also from New York. Both were U.S.-Israeli dual citizens. And let us all pray that their remains come home to their loved ones very soon. I would also like to say that I am deeply honored to be a member of this governing body that had the strength of character to put forth and pass such a proclamation. It was and continues to be a testament to the values we hold here in Morris Township. I want to thank Mr. Ravitz to my right for his work to put this together 2 years ago. And I'd like to thank Mr. Jorfi, who was our mayor 2 years ago, for putting it forth on the agenda, and to thank both Mr. Ravitz, Mr. Jorfi, and Mayor Gariglia, along with former Mayor Kathy Wilson, who passed this proclamation unanimously. And in closing, I just want to repeat that final paragraph that I mentioned before. We stand in solidarity with the people of Israel and express our hope for a future where peace, security, and prosperity prevail for Israelis and Palestinians. Let us all pray for peace finally in the region. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Grayzell, for sure. And our own Mr. Quinn is actually going to be in Israel for 2 weeks, so quite a time to be going over there. And I only have a couple quick updates. One thing, Committeeman Donato already talked a little bit about Transportation Advisory Committee. Just wanted to update everybody that we continue to get, we just got in today, some more information on ordinances from the other municipalities on e-bikes and e-scooters. So we're working on that so that we too, the township, will draft an ordinance for us on that. On the seniors, they had a very successful health fair at the Fairchild Firehouse. Over 50 people showed up. The Senior Citizens Committee, along with our Department of Health, did a great job, and they were giving flu shots. And they felt that we won't do this every year, but maybe every other year. And they had over 20 different vendors and people there. So it was very exciting. We also there was a mayor's walk on October 4th with the mayors from Chatham and from both Chathams. Unfortunately, Mayor Conley couldn't be there because it was Bottle Hill Day in Madison, but that's something that we're doing. And Committeeman Janata and his family showed up, and Mr. Quinn led the walk all around Jones Pond, and we pointed out former Mayor Jorfi's house. It was a great day. It was very hot, but it was really nice. And it gives people who do come along to talk to some of the other mayors from the other municipalities, and we share certain things we're working on together. The one other thing that I do want to mention is a couple of us actually all attended the Veterans Valor Project, which is something the Rotary has put together. The ceremony was held at the Frelinghuysen Arboretum, and it's part of our continuing partnership with them and the other veterans groups. And we will continue to prioritize veteran community engagement We welcome our residents to help support this project as it moves forward, and we hope it will foster a sense of ownership and community spirit, even here right in the township, to help promote and maintain the gardens as they're developed. At that event, I closed with a quote by an unknown author that says, "If you want to thank a soldier, be the kind of American worth fighting for." And I said there, which I want to repeat here, that I also think this pertains not just to thanking soldiers, but I think this also pertains to our democracy and our elections that are coming up. Voting matters, and if you want elected officials who will work for you and what's best for your community, we all need to get back to being the kind of Americans worth fighting for and coming to the table to address our commonalities and stop emphasizing so adamantly what our differences are. And the last thing I want to close with is a very valued resident of the Morristown area, Wilhelmina Willie Julin, a devoted mother and teacher, a Holocaust survivor, an amazing photographer, and a longtime resident, passed away peacefully in the presence of her family after a decades-long battle with cancer on September 12th. She was 85 years old. She was a longtime League of Women Voters member, and she was a big supporter of Foots Pond. I just wanted to let everybody know there will be a celebration of her life featuring many of her award-winning photographs. It'll be held from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. There'll be a eulogy at 6:30 on Friday, November 21st at the Morris Museum. So if you've never had the pleasure of seeing any of her photography, you really should stop by. And at the end of it all, I just want to wish everybody a very happy and safe Halloween. It's such a great time of year, especially for all of our little ones. So stay safe out there as you participate in Halloween. At this time, there are 6 members on Zoom and 4 here in person. We'll open the meeting to public comment. We'll first take comments from people here in person, and then we'll switch over to Zoom. Please raise your hand on Zoom if you would like to speak. State your name, and if you're a resident or non-resident, please note comments are limited to 5 minutes. If you would like questions answered, your remaining time to speak will be yielded back. Is there a motion to open public comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone here in public who would like to approach the podium? Seeing no hands raised on Zoom, is there a motion to close public comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The time is now 7:58 p.m. May I have a motion to adjourn the regular session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next regular Township Committee meeting is Wednesday, November 12th, 2025 at 7 p.m. for the regular meeting, 5 p.m. closed in the municipal building here at Woodland Avenue. Thank you and have a great night.